What up, everybody? My name is Gina Fontanello. Welcome back to Music Blueprint, where we teach you how to make money. And today is a really good episode because we're going to give you 5 ways to make money as an artist. A lot of people are confused, or they don't know all the ways, or they're only using one way. And as an artist, it's really important to have all these avenues of income coming in all at once. So we're going to just get right into it and start with number 1. Number 1 is playing shows. There's a lot of different ways to play shows. There's some shows that are just shows that keep your chops up. There's touring. There's all these different things. But the first and number 1 way to make money while playing shows is touring. It's the biggest cash cow, if you will. You can go on tour with someone where, depending on what tour you're on, like if you're on a really big tour, like maybe like Katy Perry's or something like that, you're probably going to get paid anywhere from like $4,000 to $6,000 a week. And that number is from a friend of mine sang backup for Katy Perry, and she got paid like $4,000 to $5,000 a week. With different artists, it's different levels. You kind of have to negotiate your rate a little bit, but that's typically the standard. And it's really good money. I mean, you start calculating that, but you're not on tour the whole time. So, you're kind of also calculating the fact that like this has to be your annual income. So if you're only on the road for 4 months, okay, well, then if I'm making 16 grand a month, times that by, I'm just going to make it easy math and times it by 5. Let's say 5 months. That's like $80K, right? So $80K is a great income. If you only worked 5 months out of the year and you made $80K, that's fire. Now, not every tour is going to be like that though. So, you have some smaller tours that maybe are only $2K a week or $500 a week or whatever, and you collectively make it all work. Your goal, if you're any kind of guitarist, piano, backup vocalist, anything like that, your goal would be to get in the 2 to 4 range, because you got to pay your bills at the end of the day. And if you have a family, you need to provide for your family, whatever. If you're the main person and the main artist, then you need to figure out to make somewhere in that same amount of income. But if you're paying other people, you're not going to be able to pay other people and pay yourself that amount of income, if that makes sense. So you either need to figure out how to be a one-person show. For me personally, like I pick specific shows where I have full band, and then I have other shows that are just like me. I've got like my laptop, I'm running tracks, I have guitar, I'm singing, I have a looper pedal, like I've got all this stuff. That just saves costs. And then with the other shows that I have that are full band, then I pay everybody their like, not day rate, but their show rate. What does it cost for you to play a show with me? And usually it's anywhere from like 100 to 200, or, maybe if it's like a really, pricey show, I'll charge like, they'll charge like 400 or something like that. But you need to keep it in mind, because if you're an artist by yourself and you're not in a band, everything is on you. You're doing the most work. You're doing the most ticket sales. You're doing everything. And you need to be able to be compensated for your time. And if you're paying everybody all the time to go on tour with you for 2 weeks, and they're like, oh, well, my rate is $500 a week, and then you're like, well, there's 4 other people in the band. You see what I'm saying? Things start getting costly. So you just want to keep all that in mind. Get a budget together. We've done a lot of videos on this channel specifically about budgeting. Maybe just go to our channel and check that out if you're not familiar with Excel or anything like that, because budgeting is really key on tour. Moving on. The next part of number 1 is agency gigs. Agency gigs are what I like to call the gigs that keep your chops up. When you're not on tour, you don't want to just sit around and do nothing. First of all, that just like creates a lazy person, right? So we're already not about that. But 2, specifically if you're a vocalist or a guitar player, or honestly any instrumentalist of any kind, you don't want to lose the skill set that you have because you took 3 months off. So for me specifically, when I play guitar, if I go like 2 weeks without playing guitar, the calluses disappear on my fingers. And then when I go to play, My fingers are literally like bleeding. So for me, when I'm not out on the road, I'll do these like agency shows. They pay honestly pretty well. They usually play an hourly rate of some kind, anywhere from like $75 to like $150 an hour. They usually won't cross like 100 to 120. They usually don't want to go above 120. So again, if somebody's asking you your rate, just make sure to keep in mind that like most people aren't going above 120. You're getting consistent money and the schedule is decided ahead of time. So let's say you get off the road. You're like, great, I still want to make some money in this in-between time. You have your connects to your agency. You say, hey, these are the dates I'm available for the next month. And boom, they put you on the schedule, probably working 3 or 4 times a week. Definitely on the weekends. You would have to keep the weekends open. And then you're probably making $300, maybe $400 a night, depending on tips and stuff, just on your break. So you just went on tour. Let's just use the same math we had before. You just went on tour. You made $80K in 5 months. Great. That's already enough of an income to last you the year. But let's say you want to get up to 150. Now, for the next 3 months, you're making, let's just say $1,500. Let's just make math easy. $2,000 a week off of these agency gigs, right? You play 4 times a week. You make about $2,000 a week. That's another $8K. Okay, well, 8 times 4, that's $32,000. Now you're sitting at $112,000. Yeah, 112. Man, I'm really having to do some math here. But you get my drift. Now you're already at $112,000 a year, and you've only worked 9 months. Okay. The last part on this one is online performances. If you're a singer, you could do an online show. You can go live on any social media platform. Specifically, I would suggest TikTok. TikTok is really pushing live right now. So I would do that. But going live and people giving you gifts, you can also put your like PayPal link and be like, hey guys, if you're feeling tipsy, here's my, link or whatever. Just so you are making money while you're doing it. Sometimes you're not making a lot of money, but like in my experience, like if I did Facebook or something like that and I put my PayPal link there, people were usually, if I was online for like maybe an hour or two, I was making $100. I'm like, cool. If I'm not doing nothing, great. Now, obviously you have to keep in mind like your voice, saving your voice, but it doesn't have to only be you performing. It can be, hey guys, I'm showing my upcoming album, all the songs on my upcoming album. Like if you like it, we're trying to raise money to like get it mixed and mastered or, whatever, have some angle there or no angle. People might just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And they just might send you gifts just because they love you. So, but going live is definitely important. And then you could also do something on the live aspect of an actual ticketed live show where you get a lineup of people. Everybody does it from their bedroom or their room or whatever. And then they do a whole live performance and you can charge like a ticket price. There's ways to do that. You have to research it. We can't go into all of that right now because we got to get through all these points. But there's a way to do it where you can have people buy tickets and then they get an access code. And then that access code lets them into the link for YouTube or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Moving on to point number 2. So number 1 is touring or playing shows, I guess. Make the blanket of playing shows. Number 2 is songwriting. This has been my part-time income for forever. My main thing is not songwriting. My main thing is playing shows. But I will say that over the years, and especially in times where shows weren't a thing, for instance, COVID, shows haven't really been a thing. So during that period of time, songwriting like kicked into gear and made up the difference. Now, I've definitely put my 10,000 hours in as a songwriter, so it's really easy for me to put on that hat. So if you're not that person, maybe link up with somebody who you can learn from and get better with when doing these next things along this point, because you definitely need to have some kind of skill set as a songwriter. But if you're an artist, you're probably already songwriting and you probably already have the skill set, so you're probably good. But the first thing on songwriting is being a paid top liner. If you're in the EDM space at all, everybody pays for a top line. It's a very common practice. They either will do a work for hire, or what I like to do is I will get paid up front and then I also get a percentage on the master. A lot of people don't like giving away the master because it's about giving control. But like, one, I'm definitely going to get my pub, right? So if it's me and a DJ, it's a 50-50 split on pub. Great. Second, I even try to get a 50-50 split on the master because a lot of times I'm producing my own vocals. I'm coming up with the arrangement of the song. So I'm producing. So I typically like to get paid up front for my time, and then I also just split everything down the middle. And then I also tell them that, hey, recoup your money first, and then we'll do a 50-50 split. So that way it makes it more comfortable, and it keeps just everybody accountable of like, the one risk is like, how much are they trying to recoup before they pay you? But usually if a song gets anywhere from like 1 to 2 million streams, you're fine. They'll recoup it. Then you'll get paid. It's all good and gravy. And usually with DJs too, they're under a label. So the label will handle all the finances, which again keeps everybody on the straight and narrow and not trying to screw anybody over. But yeah, you get paid up front for sure. Sometimes if the person streams really well, they'll try to negotiate you not getting paid. I always like to just get paid because, again, everybody likes to talk a big game about how, like, oh, well, I'm streaming really well and my last single did this. And I'm like, that doesn't really mean crap because that's this single and not every single's the same. You may not promote it the same. You may not use the same label. So just for my sanity and my time, I'd like to get paid up front. And it's usually anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a top line. And then I also get my split. So that's what I'm trying to do. The next part is streaming revenue, which kind of coincides with the first part. You can get paid from the streams. So if you're songwriting with a bunch of people, and I would suggest songwriting with the people that you truly believe in, because usually the ones that you truly believe in are the ones that, I wouldn't say they always stream the best, but like when I've invested my time into somebody, I've been like, oh, I really believe in this project. I believe in their vision. They're hardworking. I know that they're going to push it on social media so that I can get some streaming or at least work the playlisting route, whatever. And then usually they have some kind of split format. Like with DistroKid, they get your information. DistroKid automatically like distributes your money, which is great. With labels, they have an accounting team, so you'll get like a statement every quarter or something like that. Every 3 to 4 months, you'll get a statement saying, hey, this is the money you made, blah, 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 blah. So, but it's a very consistent income. And I always feel like it seems to come when I needed it the most. Because I'm like, oh, shoot, like, it's going to be a little tight this month or something like that. And then I let me just look into my DistroKid account. And then I'm like, oh, there's $1,000. That's so great. So it definitely comes in when you need it the most. I wouldn't rely on it because it's a fickle business and it's a fickle just situation because you're relying on other people streaming well. You're relying on playlisters to actually playlist them or you. It's just, I try not to rely on that. It's not consistent enough for me. And then it shows up every 3 to 4 months, which I'm like, if I'm going on a monthly income thing, that just doesn't work for me. So keep that all in mind. Your goal as a songwriter, though, is to find the next artist that is going to be the next thing and work with them and build a relationship with them where they will now make you their artist. Again, this business is all about relationships, but specifically in the songwriting realm, it's really about relationships because when somebody blows up, they don't want to work with people that they don't know anymore. That ship has sailed. They will every once in a while if it's like vetted through their label or vetted through their specific people, they might do it. But for the most part, they want to work with the same people that got them to where they were today, and they're not trying to work with anybody else. Even if they only worked with you once, they're like, oh, well, you're already approved, right? They worked with you once, they had a good time. Even in that case, I know specifically in my situation right now, I'm working with some artists and I am like their artist, or not their artist, their songwriter. They don't want to work with anybody else, and we've even worked with other people that we actually like working with. We love the song that we did with them. We love all of that, but they didn't put in the time with us when we were, for the last 3 years, hustling and putting our nose to the ground and really trying to get songs out. They wrote with us once. They were like, this is a great song. They love it. But then they never followed up to write again. They never even commented on social media posts, like nothing. They never put in the time to build the relationship. And now these few people that I'm talking about that I work with, they've blown up and they've built something for themselves. And now those people are trying to contact them being like, hey, would love to have a session again. And the artist is like, where were you the last 2.5 years when I was building something? Like, where have you been? Kind of thing. So again, as a songwriter, it's really about building relationships with people because it's all about long lasting. And just again, if you come out of nowhere to them, they're going to be like, who's this person? I'm not trying to work with them. I already have my people. So another thing to think about. The last thing that you can do to make money as a songwriter is get a pub deal. But I would suggest only get a pub deal if it's worth it. A lot of times, a lot of artists in their early career sign on for a pub deal and they were not in the position to do that. And so then they got a terrible upfront advance because they hadn't built a name for themselves in their career, so they didn't have leverage, and then the label just gave them a terrible deal. So if you're going to sign a pub deal, it better be freaking worth it. Like, I would suggest never signing anything that's like $30,000 to $50,000. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but when you're independent, you actually can make more money and keep all of it rather than signing away all of your stuff and then they're keeping most of it and managing it, and then you never really see the full amount. Like, if you had a song that went number 1 and you were signed to a pub deal, you're not going to see a good portion of that money. They'll recoup your deal and then re-up your option, and then you're just not, like, you could be a millionaire if you stayed independent. Like right now, for me specifically, I've stayed independent because the deals that were offered to me just weren't worth my time. I was like, I make more money without you guys. Why would I sign this? And sometimes it's worth the connections and stuff like that because you wouldn't get the connections otherwise. But if you just take that extra time to struggle for like another 2 years, you actually will get those connections, will get the singles that you want, and then you can leverage a way better deal. But for me, I just wrote a bunch of stuff for Lauren Spencer Smith's album. It's about to drop probably in June. I'm completely independent. So all the money that gets from all the streaming, all the radio play, everything is going to me. I'm not sharing it with anybody. I'm not splitting it with anybody. It goes all directly to me. So, and she's one of the hottest artists right now on social media and just in the pop music game. So there's potentially a lot of money to be coming my way. Now, if I would have signed with somebody, yeah, somebody would have managed it for me and that would have saved a headache, but I would have made a fraction of that project because I signed away a good portion of my rights. So just things to keep in mind. Okay, so the next 3 I'm gonna move through pretty quickly because I know this video is already getting long, but I feel like the first 2 are really the most important. Possibly number 4 is really important as well, but the first 2, definitely that's the way that you make a good portion of your money. The rest is, well, number 3, you can make a consistent amount of money, but the rest of them on 4 and 5 are just kind of like whimsical. They're not things to rely on, but there are things that will create a substantial income for you. So number 3, teaching. Get a clientele. Start teaching people. The beauty about teaching and the beauty about COVID recently is that you can do everything online. You don't have to have a specific spot or a specific studio or anything like that, although that could be nice. You could have people just come to your house. It doesn't matter where you live, where you're at. You could be in the middle of nowhere and you could still, as long as you have internet access and as long as you can find some kind of person, you can teach, period. So find the people to teach. How do you do that? I would go to a school, maybe give your business card to a school, say, hey, I'm a teacher. Maybe they would let you teach at that school, like in an after school sense. A Also, I would just like put my cards up everywhere. Like, a lot of coffee shops and stuff, they do like open mic nights. Give your cards out to people. Use social media as a tool. Whatever you have to do, build in a clientele. And then also you can build a clientele online, which is really great. Again, one thing that COVID did great was everybody moved into an online space to where you can songwrite with anybody online. You can teach anybody online. There's a lot of programs. You could type in like online teaching, and there's a lot of already built-in platforms where you can sign up and become a teacher. They'll like vet you online. I mean, there's like so many of these online programs. You'll become a teacher, and you could like Monday, Wednesday, Friday have a full schedule of teaching just through these online programs. They'll vet you to ask your experience, what's your rate, blah, 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 blah. And you just give them all of that. And then, then they'll create you an online profile. And then people just sign up with you, or they direct people to you so that you get a clientele. So anyways, it's a really great income source. And also that's very consistent. It's something that can be relied upon, which again, you're always trying to find the things that are consistent in music, because there's not a lot of things that are consistent that you can 100% rely upon. But a lot of times your schedule is determined a month in advance. So you're like, cool, unless something goes crazy and I break something and I can't do it, or I can't sing, or, maybe that person has a family emergency, I can rely on this basic amount of money. So it's really great. Number 4 is be an influencer. And I know this one has a little bit of a taboo about it, because a lot of artists are like, it's about the art, and I don't want to be gimmicky, and it's cringy to me to watch people how they promote their stuff, which is true. I'm right there with you. I know when people are faking or staging something. Most people don't, but as artists, we know the game, and we know when people are trying to push a product or push a song or whatever. So we know. But nonetheless, it is a huge tool, and it's a huge financial tool. You can if your videos start doing really well, let's say on TikTok or on Instagram, you can become a part of their, TikTok calls it like a creator fund. I can't remember exactly what Instagram calls it, but they have a name for that too. So basically, you get paid for views on Instagram or Reels or Facebook or whatever. So whenever a video, let's say like one of your videos gets 10,000 views, but let's say you're posting like twice a day, and so you have 60 videos and all of them get 10,000 views, you're probably going to get paid like anywhere from $300 to $500, which is really great, right? Something that is consistent. That would be on a monthly basis. Usually they pay out monthly. With TikTok, there's a lot higher potential of going viral. So, you might get a video that gets 10 million views, and then all your other videos get like 100,000 views. And again, if you're posting twice a day or once a day or whatever, that's a significant amount of money. Now, each platform pays differently. I think TikTok pays like, I want to say a penny a view, maybe. It might be even less than that. But it's something that is just like extra cash, right? Like when I get paid from TikTok and Instagram every month, I'm like, cool, that's like an extra $1,000. Awesome. That pays a good portion of like all my bills other than rent, right? Like that would cover my car payment, my insurance, groceries, all from that bill. And then if I'm consistently making money with the other 3 things, then it's like, oh, all I have to do is make enough money to pay for rent. And the rest is like, I can invest, or I can, buy new gear that I need to buy or whatever. Also, the other thing about being an influencer, which this is the most important thing, is building a social media following and a platform for you to promote your stuff. Whether you want to be cringe about it and promoting your stuff, like be cringe about promoting it, is up to you. I mean, some tactics work, and you just can't fight it at the end of the day. But the other reason is when you build a social media following, you can start doing brand deals. And we've talked about this before on Music Blueprint. I would definitely suggest checking out those videos, because you don't have to have that big of a social media following to do brand deals. But the bigger the social media following you have, the bigger brand deals that you can do. If you have like 500,000 followers, okay, cool. You can get paid like $200 to like $300 for posting about a product. But if you have like 9 million followers on TikTok, now you're doing stuff with like McDonald's and Nike, right? Which is a much different pay grade. You're talking about the difference of maybe making $1,000 per brand deal to like making $30,000 per brand deal. And you're like, whoa, like if I did one of those a month, holy crap, right? So, and people just don't understand that. People don't see the vision in that. They just think social media is social media, and they're like, people get famous for stupid things, which they do. I mean, there's no knocking that. But nonetheless, even if those people got famous off something stupid, they're making crazy more money than you. And it's because of these brand deals. It's not, most of the time, it's not because of their song. It's not because of different things. It's because of the fact that they linked up with a brand. The brand paid them $10K a post, and they're just living their life. I mean, imagine if you made $10,000 in 1 month. You're like, I don't even really need to do anything else unless I wanted to buy a Porsche shirt. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important to build your following up because, again, I don't think people understand, again, how many brands are looking for influencers to promote their stuff. Me specifically, I'm not even that big of an influencer. I think my biggest platform is TikTok. I have 800K on TikTok. I probably get 10 to 12 brands like a week contacting me. Now, not all of them are paid. Some of them are just like, hey, we want to give you free product if you would promote it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, nah, sometimes it's not worth it. Because again, I'm keeping in mind that I don't want to just like push products that I don't really care about to my fans, right? So, but there are some brands and they contact me and they're like, hey, what's your rate? And I'm like, this is my rate to do it on these things. And then they're like, cool, great. And I'm like, wow, I just like paid all my bills in one brand deal. So it's really important to just keep that in mind. I know money is not everything, and that's not the only reason why we do things, but it does help out in the long run of like if you made money on a brand deal and you wanted to pay for playlisting, now you have the finances to do that. Rather than before, if you didn't have that extra cash, it was just you hustling, trying to find people that are willing to take a risk on you. And that's just a much different game. Money talks at the end of the day. Unfortunately, in this business, it does. And, that's that. So, but keep it in mind, I would definitely not knock it until you try it and actually really try it. Don't just like give it like 3 days and you're like, oh, it's not working for me. Like give it a significant, I'm talking about like 1 to 2 years. Like it took me 3 years to build my TikTok following. So if that is any point of reference, hopefully that helps. The last one, and this one's kind of like interesting. This is one that multiple times throughout my career I have done, and it's low-key kind of been fun. It's something different, but also it always comes through in the most clutch ways, is voice acting. I have had a lot of people ask me to do different voice acting things where they needed me to be the voice of some, fairy at an EDM festival, or just, I did one for like air conditioning units one time. Somebody was like, hey, we're doing this commercial and we need like an English speaker to like, narrate this script. And so then I wrote the script, and it was like, usually you're paid per word or something like that. So I try to do like an hourly rate. But sometimes with an hourly rate, they have a lot of revisions because they want like one word change, and then you have to like redo like a good portion of it just to get the flow right. So that being said, that's why they do per word, because it's a lot. It pays more and whatever. But it always comes through when I need it to. And the beauty about it is it's not far off from singing, because it's all about speaking in rhythm. And for most of us musicians, hopefully, we have rhythm. And it's just all about having a cadence and a flow. Usually there's a time frame, but you can figure out the rhythm within that time frame. But yeah, it's a great way to connect with people in that realm. And a lot of times those people know other people. It's a really small niche of a community. So a lot of times like somebody will be like, oh my gosh, I love like this person, or hey, do you know anybody? And then it's like next thing I know, I'm being referred to do another gig. And a lot of times these are really fast and they pay really well. So like most of the time people have a budget for it. It's not like they're showing up like, a lot of musicians, when you do a top line for people, they're like, oh, well, I'm capped at this budget. With voice acting, in my experience, they have a budget to pay a voice actor, because that's the main person that they need to do something for them, right? Like, yeah, the video editing is really important, but the second most important thing is the voiceover part. So yeah, it usually pays really well, and it's very random when it comes in, but hey, like it always comes in clutch at the right time. So I know that last one is like, wow, I never really thought about that, but I'm telling you, I've done things for like Disney, American Girl dolls, random people in Asia because they needed an English speaker, like just tons of stuff. And it's just honestly, it's a really great, I always wondered to myself, like I could have made even more money if I really would have invested more time. But again, it wasn't about the money for me. It was just something that also like paid a little extra, but I think it could be an actual full-time thing. If somebody really dove into it. So if you're really interested in voice acting and doing that, I would definitely suggest that. All right, guys, I know this video was a little bit long, but it had a lot of nuggets of gold in there. I would definitely suggest like rewatching this or maybe even writing down some things. If you've looked at any of our other videos, a lot of our other videos go into depth on each one of these points. So I would definitely go take a look at our profile, like and subscribe if this helped you at all, but take a look at our profile and check out those other videos that go more in depth about each one of these points. You definitely can be a full-time artist. It's not as hard as you think, just like a little word of encouragement. You can do it. You can literally make a full-time income. I promise you, if you just apply like the first 3 points of this, you'll easily pay your bills, no problem. Doesn't really matter where you are, you could figure it out, I promise. So good luck out there, and we'll see you next week.